Hi, I'm Aaron, co-founder of Split Atom Labs and creator of Land of Livia, the accessible by design epic fantasy adventure on iOS. It's been about 6 months since our last update. We've been heads down executing on a bunch of different stuff. But last week, we released a glimpse of this in the form of our 4.1.0 update. So I thought I would make a video, walk through the release notes and share a little bit of background about what we've done, and then maybe even some gameplay. I also want to give a shout out to our beta testers, or Cerulean Council as we call them. We really couldn't do this without them, so their support and partnership means so much to us. We have a few more spots available, so if that sounds like something you might be interested in, please join the Split Atom Labs Discord and say that you want to be a beta tester and we'll get you set up. All right, let's get into it. So I will switch to my iPad. And there we go, we can see the release notes. So the first thing to note is that we did release a 4.1.1 update today. There were a few reports of player data not being correct after the update. So this would have resulted in things like missing quest items, locations, or journal entries. This has now been resolved. So if you were experiencing that issue, please update and let us know if you have any other problems. As far as the 4.1.0, as I mentioned, this is the first of several larger updates we're excited to share with you in 2024. We would also appreciate input regarding how you interact with digital technology and its effects on mental health, social well-being, and daily life via a user survey. So there's a link in the release notes. I'll also provide a link in the description below, and we would really appreciate your participation in that if that's something that you're able to do. So moving on to changes. The first change was an accessibility update. So we refined lore research to be more intuitive to play and added a difficulty setting in the help menu so players can choose their own pace. So one thing that we found through user feedback is that the lore researching game was pretty polarizing. Some people loved it the way that it was. Some people found it very challenging, and actually in some instances it would put them off playing the game altogether. It was modeled originally off a game that I used to play as a child. And it is somewhat of a difficult game. We used to get a lot of feedback around, is this broken for VoiceOver? And it wasn't broken. It was just the case that it was hard for both people with vision impairment and people with sight because of just the gameplay itself. It didn't give you a lot of hints around how to solve it. You had to use a lot of logic. And this even got more severe as you progressed through the game. So revamping this game has actually been something that I've wanted to do for a very long time. And in this update, we finally did it. We replaced it with a more streamlined game. But what we're really excited about is we also introduced difficulty settings. Now, this is the first time we've introduced this type of thing into Land of Livia, and we think that we might do it more based on how this one is perceived. But this allows you to play essentially the way that you want to play, and I'll show some examples of that in a moment. Next up, as part of another accessibility update, we added sound effects to lore research, and this is really targeted at giving people a way to play more efficiently without needing to so much look at all the visual feedback. They can listen to the sounds and potentially play the game just by doing that. Given we were using sound as a kind of crucial feedback element, this meant that we also needed to introduce sound volume settings and music volume settings in the help menu. Lastly, we went through the Prelude and made some pretty significant changes to provide a more robust experience, improve progression, and reduce confusion in several areas. What had happened here is the Prelude was the first content that we developed. And so as we went on and developed more content, got more feedback, and incorporated that, we actually got much better at creating content. So players that have gone through the whole game might realize that as they get through the chapters, they become more engaging, a little bit more streamlined, easier to play, less confusing, etc. So what we did here is we took all the design principles that we'd learned from that and went back and applied them to the Prelude. The aim was to resolve some of the more confusing areas of the Prelude, such as getting stuck, not knowing how to obtain the battered knife pass, not understanding how to gain enough gold to progress through the chapters. And then also later on in the Prelude, when you need to get to the Sorceress Tower, it can be a little bit confusing navigating through the cove. So these are just some of the changes that we made. You'll notice that the second part of the Prelude, the second chapter goal, is a lot more built out. There's more stuff to do, and it's easier to progress through. So interested to hear the feedback now, and if there are kind of more points of confusion, we can make further updates. But we're pretty excited to finally get this update into the game because it's something that we've been meaning to do for some time. Lastly, moving on to bug fixes, we fixed a bug in the Prelude tutorial where Tor would occasionally become impossible to select with screen readers enabled. This has plagued us for quite a while, and so we were really excited to find a fix. And we were able to verify the fix with our beta testers, which was really helpful because it can be difficult sometimes to know whether you fix these kind of edge case issues. And in this case, we're pretty confident this has now been resolved, so it won't affect new players. All right, let me see if I can switch across to the game. All right, there we go. We've got our beautiful music coming through. Now, the first thing I'm going to actually want to do is reduce that music volume so that we can hear the sound effects better. So there we go. We go into settings, reduce that down. Now you notice up the top here we have puzzle difficulty. The settings of puzzle difficulties are casual, balanced, and challenging. Let's start off with balanced, which is the default, and head back, and we're going to try and play a lore researching game. So if we go into lore items, we're going to upgrade a lore fragment. There you go. We can see we've got 4 different rune slots here. I'm just going to go ahead and say guess. Now you could hear the feedback there telling us the results of our guess. You can also see the feedback. Yellow means that a rune is in the answer, but it is in the incorrect slot. Gray means it's incorrect, and green means it's correct. So with this feedback, let's see if we can solve this one. So we'll move that rune there, and this one will make that rune and put the 4 looking one there. Okay, we're pretty close. We just need to get this last rune slot correct. It's not that one. It's probably this one. There we go, we solved it. As you progress up the lore items, when you upgrade them, it's a more challenging game. This is similar to how it worked with the previous lore researching game. So if we want to upgrade a lore page, we're going to have the same number of slots here, but we have a different number of runes, which makes the puzzle harder to solve. Now, let's go back to settings here, and we're going to change the setting to casual. So let's go back here. Let's upgrade a lore fragment. We have less lore slots. This is going to make the puzzle easier to solve. Let's go ahead and guess. Okay, so let's move this one there, here, and put that there. Let's see how we go. Close. If we just change the last one to this rune, we should be good. Alright, so that mode suits people that are after a kind of more relaxed gameplay, not looking for a challenge. But lastly, let's show off the challenging mode. So we really think this is going to suit people that found the previous lore game really fun. They like the challenge, they like to play the game a lot, and are looking for something a little bit more difficult. So they can play the challenging mode, and this should give them that experience. So let's go in and upgrade a fragment. Here you can see a lot of rune slots, and I'm not going to even attempt to solve this on camera. These can be quite tricky to get right, and they only get more tricky as you upgrade the later lore tiers. One thing I will note is that at this point, there's a lot of sound feedback, and if that's not something that you'd like to have when you're playing, you can simply go into the settings and adjust your sound effect volume and whether they're enabled at all to suit the way that you like to play. Now I'm going to try something a little bit different. I'm going to attempt to play with VoiceOver so that people can understand how VoiceOver works with this game. And for that, I'm going to change to casual because I am not that quick with VoiceOver. Now go to Hero, turn VoiceOver on, Oh, actually, I'm also going to turn the volume completely off for the music to make sure we can hear things clearly.
VoiceOver on. Land of Livia. Lower fragment. Landscape.
All right, so VoiceOver is
Charge
now
port to the
on.
left.
For those that are not familiar with it, we're going to see a selection on specific elements. It's going to read those elements out, and we can navigate
Tier
by
1 lore
swiping
item.
left and right.
525 available. Upgrade.
All
Button.
right, let's upgrade a lore fragment.
Upgrade.
All right.
Alert. Upgrade lore item. Upgrade. Continue. Close. Button. Lore researching. Heading. Rune 1. Alpha. Button. Rune 2. Beta. Button. Rune 3. Gamma. Button.
All right, so we've got alpha, beta, gamma. Let's go ahead and guess.
Guess. 6 remaining. Button.
All right, so we know
Rune 3. Rune 2. Beta. Button.
alpha's in the wrong spot, gamma's in the wrong spot, and beta is not in it. So let's change.
Rune 1. Alpha. Button.
Let's change rune 1 to gamma.
Rune 1. Beta. Rune 1. Gamma. Rune 2. Beta.
Let's change
Button.
rune 2 to gamma.
Rune 2. Rune 3. Gamma. Button.
Rune 3 to alpha.
Rune 3. Alpha.
Now let's guess.
Guess. 5.
All right, first and last are correct. The middle one is incorrect.
Rune 2. Gamma. Button.
So let's change rune 2 to alpha.
Rune 2. Alpha. Rune 3. Alpha. But. Guess. 4 remaining. Alert. Low researching succeeded.
And there we go. We solved it.
OK. Button.
All right. So those that are more capable with VoiceOver can go ahead and solve the more difficult puzzles. There's certainly nothing stopping people from doing that. Awesome. So
VoiceOver off.
that's, let me just switch back to the other screen. So that's the 4.1.0 release. We're excited to get this out. Some new gameplay, some refinement of the Prelude chapter, and some accessibility fixes. We're excited to hear your feedback on it. So if you want to reach out, you can do so on the Split Atom Labs Discord. Link is in the description below. Or you can comment below. Or you can also email us directly at support@splitatomlabs.com. Thank you so much for watching.